already thinking about the show.
You
just hit record, and then that way, if it's unnatural, you just cut it.
Just clip it out of there.
Yeah.
I just hit the button now.
Come on.
Like my foreskin. It's been going.
It's been going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode. You have signed on to the Nerd Accord. With me, of course, as always, Wayne, Chris, Kim, I'm Dave. Say hi.
Dave's pointing even though you can't
see this because we haven't gone to a VOD yet. And
I mean, I would like to actually do that maybe at some point.
Splicing some pictures.
I'm doing that this
some
one.
really badly drawn animation. So.
Oh, that's a great idea.
So that was actually some of the critique we got from the first episode was that we need to maybe do something other than my eyes just glaring down and
from the 6 people that listen past 5 minutes,
spurring into people's souls. Yeah,
so
so
you're gonna put it on YouTube.
I feel like he's judging me.
I am because I'm watching what you're doing.
I feel like I'm
listening to our podcast.
so being judged.
Well, actually, if anyone actually does do that, pleasures themselves while listening to us.
So we did get a good review from a friend of mine.
All right. Thank you.
She's gonna hate this, but actually because she will hear this. She sent me a text message that said, "I want to rub my oral stylings all over my body." Or rub your oral stylings all over my body.
Oh,
Are you saying okay?
Oral. Not oral.
Oral.
Yeah.
Yeah, like auricular therapy.
Because it sounded that good. So yeah.
And that was before editing.
That was before editing. Which
what's your name?
No.
Put it in the YouTube comments.
He said she's a friend.
Anyway, they were still working on editing the first episode down a bit. It's been a process, learning process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the first time viewers are gonna like it rough initially,
I mean,
and then we'll ease into it.
As we begin to love you more.
Right.
More
and then it'll just be like boring, monotonous, just jackrabbiting.
Here's nerd stuff. Now listen.
Yeah, you're just gonna lay there and pray to God I end, and then you can go to sleep. That's right.
You just described my entire marriage. All right, so let's talk about some news. Big things happened last week. There's some big things coming up in the next month or so. First thing we found was Labyrinth 30th anniversary. Apparently I didn't actually know this, there were Labyrinth comics that came out when the movie came out, and now they're re-releasing those for the 30th anniversary of the movie.
So far, just one has been announced, at least that I know of that I could pick up. I didn't find out until Friday myself.
Now, the Labyrinth comics, are they just other tales within the world of the Labyrinth?
Yes.
Of the Goblin King?
Yes. And even one of them takes place after.
Bad.
So, I don't know how spoilerific we want to get here, but I had a gal who's a subscriber to us. That's Castle of Games. Shameless plug, yeah, I know. But so that's the reason why we're getting a couple copies. But she said you need to get this. These books become wildly expensive. I guess the first run of them is extremely expensive on Amazon.
So the ad says it is the complete collection of Jim Henson's Labyrinth comics. It includes 2 new, never before seen original stories. So
hopefully
that's
a
exciting.
Story that revolves around the warm white happy tea. That'd be lovely.
Sure. Why not?
I like the smell bad guy.
Like an hour just drinking tea.
Or just an entire comic about Fizzgate.
That is the Dark Crystal.
Oh, whatever.
Wow.
Whatever.
It's Jim Henson.
This was one of my favorite characters, the Dark Crystal, though. I loved this game.
I don't really remember these. I as a kid, I know I watched them.
Movie, but not.
And then, my wife, out of the blue, when we first met, was just like, you have to watch these 2 movies, because she was so excited when she got them on VHS. Which kids listening today are going to be like, what's VHS? I'm going to be
just watch it on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, they're even going to be like, what's DVD?
Here soon.
So there's also a bunch of Rebirth comics that are coming up. Supergirl, Blue Beetle, Superman.
It appears pretty much all DC is getting a Rebirth comic.
And a regular title. So some of them are getting 2 titles a month. They're getting Superman's getting Superman and Superman Rebirth. So one story tying into that portion of it and then something tying into more like their past or what it is and why they are.
Introducing a new past, like a new origin story.
Not new, but maybe like a revision.
Yeah.
Like,
By the way, this happened type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Rebirth #1 coming here in a little bit. One of the things I heard that they're trying to do is get rid of everything that didn't work with the New 52 and then replace it with things that did work from the pre-52 universe. So they're not throwing out everything.
Yeah.
They're doing surgical cuts.
It's a retcon. It really is.
No, it's a good idea, I think. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Also coming up, more Civil War #2. Civil War 2. Civil War is 10 years old now, I think it is?
The original Civil War?
Original Civil War?
I think it was 05.
5 years? Okay.
No, 05.
05. So yeah, about 10.
Yeah, 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah, so this is kind of an anniversary thing and with a new story.
As well as the movie, of course.
Right. Apparently there's, first issue came out, already some big deaths.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Pick up a copy of that and check those out. You could do that here at Castle of Games. Which address again?
660 Main Street, Springfield, Oregon. Driving through, we're just off the highway-ish.
Or if you decide to fly in, the airport's in Eugene. It's close. Fly in,
They got a
come
helipod
get
at
it.
the hospital.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Come in, grab a comic, go home.
I was just about to say I don't recommend Eugene Airport, but then I'm like, well, what if they want to sponsor us one day? And then you remember this podcast. And I'm like, wait, you can edit that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally can.
All right.
Totally going to do that.
Wayne's like, no.
No.
I'm going to amplify that part. I'm going to add wah-wahs all over the place.
Last week, one of the fun things, Preacher has finally come out. It was huge.
AMC TV series, Preacher.
Yeah, it was a huge thing that I was super excited about. It actually made me go back and start reading the comics when I heard that the series was coming to AMC, and now the first episode has come out. Don't think Kim has seen it, but
if it doesn't hit Hulu, then Kim's just.
fair. So spoilers for if you.
I can read the comic books if I want
It's
fair.
Yeah. So far, it's slightly different.
to. Sure,
but we'll get into that.
I mean, Walking Dead was like.
It was up until it was faithful until a point, and then it diverged.
So it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed the series. I did, or the first episode. I did spend, and Wayne can attest to this because we watched it together. I did spend 10 minutes going, "That's different. That's different," and I'm like,
"You're that guy."
I'm not actually. I'm really not that guy because I understand that the TV shows and movies, they're separate universes. They don't exist in the same universe as the comic does. Therefore, it can be different, and that's okay. It was a big deal with when Spider-Man in the first Tobey Maguire movie suddenly had organic webbing. I was okay with that, even though a lot of nerddom was up in arms over it because it didn't fit the comic. It's a movie. It's different. It doesn't have to fit the comic.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's.
He's that guy.
No, I think creators. yeah.
Not that guy.
They have to have some level of being faithful to the source material. I'm not saying you have to be a dead copy. I don't know. It's like why certain Marvel movies are successful right now without being the same story, and taking liberties. But there's some level of being faithful to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Dominic Cooper is probably the best choice possible to play Preacher, though.
They nailed his character. He really did. And now I'm going to sound like that guy. Having read the comic, I do feel like he was very faithful to the character from the comic. I think Cassidy, the guy who played Cassidy.
I don't.
Anyway, guy who plays Cassidy, I feel
Joe something. He's Irish.
I feel like he was very, there was only one character that I felt was not the same as the comic character. It was a big difference, and that was with Tulip. And
because she was black.
No, actually.
They blackwashed the show.
Actually, no. In the comic, she's a failed assassin, and in the show, she's actually fairly successful. She spends 10 minutes doing arts and crafts with these kids building a homemade bazooka.
Out of cans. Yeah.
Which was the best thing I've ever seen on television.
But we don't know. She's still an enigma. Watching that first episode. did we preface this with spoilers? If no one's gone out
I
and
mentioned
seen
it.
Okay.
I mentioned it.
Okay, good. Because if you haven't and we're rooting for you,
Too bad.
yeah.
At this point,
Go F
stop
yourself
listening.
because it's
Get off my podcast, boy.
our very last listener now. Just probably.
Like, oh, that's it. We're done.
But we don't know. I mean, you could be taught something and you can do it. Maybe that helicopter pilot was just terrible at his job. Like worse than she was at being bad at what she is.
He failed the dodging the homemade bazooka class.
No, the first time we see her, she's killing some guy that was in the back seat trying to kill her. She's like defending herself.
But the other guy died, so wasn't completely like. And the fact that she didn't notice a fat guy in the back of her car.
Failed assassin.
Or maybe he was supposed to be and she didn't realize he had that Garrett wire, right?
Right. So I think she seems to be
more competent
than in the comic. I mean, she had only tried once in the comic to kill somebody and failed. And in the show, she kills like a whole handful of people.
It was
with
not
arts and crafts.
Okay, so I haven't had a chance to read the comics yet, and I'm really now like, I'm gonna try to order like all the volumes.
I have the first 2 volumes if you want.
I definitely would be very interested.
I actually just lent the first one to Wayne, so once he's done.
I think with a lot of what they're doing, they are updating. They have to update these stories. You have to think this was written 20 years ago,
yes.
The first Preacher.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're in different times. The era of comic book writing is different. And today, you can't, the way Tulip read the Wikipedia on her, she seems like a fairly broken character. And I think that is no longer, I wouldn't say PC or not okay, but at the same time, you don't want to have this kind of broken character initially. Maybe you take away too much from Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse from the onset, he wakes up in that terrible nightmare. He's a broken character now.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Well, and he was in the comic at first too. I mean, the whole reason he was, being a preacher in this town was Anvil was to avoid his family. Like he was hiding from them. You can see in glimpses of why in those nightmares specifically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because his dad was killed right in front of him.
That was part of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I am reading about what was going on there. Not going to spoil that because people genuinely want to watch the show and enjoy it, and don't care about the comic book portion of it. That's fine. So that's very interesting. Yeah.
I really like the fact that they truly displayed how terrible of a preacher he is.
Yeah.
It was rather hilarious. His failed sermon was just beautiful.
Representative of how it was in the comic. He wasn't the greatest preacher in the comic. In fact, when the voice actually hits him to give him his powers in the first comic, he's walking along basically pointing out people's sins. Like, because he'd given up. He was like, I'm done. I'm getting out of here. I'm done with all you people. You're an alcoholic, you beat your wife. He was airing everybody's dirty laundry as he was walking down the aisle, and then he gets hit with magic.
Yeah, but then that's where they changed it.
Which is fine. I'm super excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's like they already showed like some level of violence with that Cassidy fight on the airplane.
Yeah.
So my problem with the show, because reading who Cassidy was, I couldn't tell he was a vampire from the get-go. Because to me, I was like, is he a demon? Not knowing that Cassidy.
He doesn't have the traditional vampire features. He doesn't fang, and he doesn't in the comics either.
Yeah, that's fine.
Only vampire feature you could say that
Chugging
he has,
blood.
Drinking blood and flame from the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Which they actually showed at one point.
Yeah, at the end, he stuck his hand out, and then the fact that he regenerated when he consumed that cow.
Yeah.
That whole scene, that was amazing. When he decants the blood from the pilot into the cup, he's like, I'm gonna need this later, and then pulls a Mary Poppins moment where he's like, I'm gonna jump umbrella.
Yeah,
that was great.
I actually said the words, I'm gonna marry Poppins' bitch.
Yeah.
Right when Dave and I were watching it, I'm gonna marry Poppins' bitch.
That was amazing. Yeah.
And the crater that he made was beautiful.
It was so perfect and spherical.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
It was perfectful.
It was amazing.
And it was quite messy.
Messy and perfectful.
Then
Something totally off. Chris mentioned that, Preacher was 20 years ago, and I just realized some sort of an epiphany, that it seems like nerds don't have as much issue with their beloved things being remade. Hollywood, everybody is up in arms. All movie aficionados are always up in arms about remakes. Hollywood makes something original. Yet I see as nerds, a lot of people, they want somebody else to take their treasure and tell the story about it the way that they want to.
Are you not remembering like the Daredevil movie of like 20 years ago?
No,
I think it's because the
completely
remakes are
remember
getting
it.
better. I think because remakes today for us.
Plug your ears, Dave. Remakes are good.
No. Yeah.
No.
No. I think again it goes back to the people that are making them are the people that were us. 20 years ago, we were reading and absorbing this material, and they get to be our age, 30s, 40-somethings, that they go, I want to actually make that into a good film. I want to make that into a good video game. I want to write those comics.
I want to share this love to a medium that reaches more people.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between remaking a comic book, which first issue of Preacher came out in 1995, by the way. There's a difference between remaking a comic book into a TV series and taking a film and remaking the film.
Well, I mean, like even DC Rebirth, we're going to be talking about that. I haven't seen a lot of uproar about all the retcons and restarts and
because
stuff.
they're retconning 52, which was so hated.
I can't deny it.
And in fact, that's actually a good segue into Rebirth.
So,
Segue.
Preacher episode 2 is tonight at 9.
We'll watch it on demand.
9.
Yeah, I probably will too.
9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Yes. So go see it. I recommend it.
Yeah. Definitely. High recommendation.
I'll make Kim see it.
We should do like a star rating or something. Like we give it
a star rating.
10.5 out of 15.
They give you 10 wieners. 10 wieners up.
10 wieners up. That's like if we're reviewing a porno movie.
You have a very different definition of wiener than I do.
You said 10 wieners up, did you not?
Yeah.
Were you like standing hot dogs?
I was actually. I'm hungry.
I mean, fair enough. So maybe that's something we'll talk about for next time.
If any of our listeners has 10 wieners that they'd like to send to Chris.
Someone's gonna try to go find that 10 wiener.
Sweet B.
I swear they make them.
Hey, send it to Sweet A. That'd be funny too.
Weird if we got packages of hot dogs.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
That'd be weird.
I wouldn't be hungry anymore. I wouldn't go like starving.
Well, they'd be my wieners. I don't know what you're getting at here.
We can't.
They show wieners.
We can't share wieners.
So
okay, Dave, we segued. What are we segueing to?
We did segue. So one thing I actually, since we were talking about it, we've had our first episode had 81 views, 84 views now.
Wow, 6 I anticipated.
84 views.
Good job.
You're such a naysayer.
Hey, well, you gotta start somewhere.
I feel like we've just alienated all 84 of those people.
Well, then we'll get 84 new ones.
That are more twisted than you 84 losers that left.
Oh.
And now we have no one.
Yeah. The counter actually goes backwards.
How
are they doing that?
That's fantastic.
YouTube is like, what are you guys talking about?
Hey, thanks for that. All right, so
Any negative comments? That's what I want.
we had no negative comments.
Any thumbs downs?
No.
We had no thumbs downs. We had 7 thumb ups and 4 comments.
I'm just waiting for the internet trolls to just go, thumbs down, nerds. Nerds.
We have 7 subscribers. Last time I looked, we had 8 subscribers and we lost 1. I know. And I feel like I kind of felt it when I saw that. I'm like, we lost a subscriber? How did that happen?
Felt it like Yoda having a stroke when Alderaan went down.
Right? Like, oh my god.
You're totally like you're stroking out.
All sorts of fun stats that we can look at, and maybe we'll talk about those later. But One of the fun stats that shows is where the people are from, where they're located. Obviously,
Are we popular in Switzerland?
we had one person in the Netherlands listening to
Hey.
us. So Netherlands, welcome.
Welcome.
You know why? You know why?
It was those eyes.
They were baked out of their mind. They were like, oh, this is pretty funny. Subscribe. And then he like came down off his high and he goes, what was I? Oh, God. And then unsubscribe.
That was our one unsubscribe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Sad day.
What are y'all searching in the Netherlands to find us?
That's a good question.
I mean, I did put a lot of tags on the YouTube video, but I did not put any.
Type in like pot brownies.
Is the Netherlands like a big pot place?
Amsterdam is. Yeah. Amsterdam.
Oh.
Have you not heard of
Red
No,
Light
I totally
District.
forgot that it was in Netherlands, actually.
Okay,
For some
just
reason, I
quick-
thought it was
quick-
in Austria for a minute.
It was good at the coffee shop.
I visited.
Coffee shops are not coffee shops
You don't
over
get
there.
coffee.
Oh, yeah.
You and I are going to watch the second Harold and Kumar movie later
I
this week.
have.
No,
So
watch.
we're gonna watch it
No,
again.
even better, watch Euro Trip.
Euro Trip is
Okay,
awesome.
Euro
But
Trip.
it nowhere in it does it say, oh, Amsterdam, Netherlands. That sounds weird to say.
I'm pretty sure the nerd kid who wanted to be like the world traveler.
Yeah. That
said
made
it.
up with his
yeah,
sister.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact. Dude, you made out with your sister. Love that movie.
That is a good movie.
Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Matt Damon.
Not that.
Matt Damon. Back to Team America. Matt Damon, Matt Damon, Matt Damon.
Rebirth.
Rebirth.
Rebirth is a big thing that's happened in comics. The world of comics has
Bended?
been turned
Oh, yeah.
on its ear.
It does this all the time, though.
Yeah, but this
There's
is
always some earth-shattering event.
yeah, but this is stuff that I'm actually like really interested in.
All the universes.
This is something I'm really interested in. I haven't been interested in DC in quite some time. This new thing has really made me want to start checking out new DC comics. For those of you who don't know, Rebirth is a new event. We talked about it a little bit last week in the news. Basically what they're doing is they are cutting out things that didn't work in the New 52 and bringing back things that were popular pre-New 52. Such as the Wally West is back as the Flash in New 52. Kid Flash for some reason, which is fine with me.
Speed Force.
Right.
That's why.
Because Speed Force.
Yeah.
In the New 52, he was a blonde-headed nobody. He didn't have powers. He was nobody. Nobody cared.
That's because everybody forgot about him.
Right.
That's the whole story, which is kind of amazing, is that he's trying to kind of revert everything back and make everybody remember all the things, the relationships, and
Right.
pretty sweet. And they touch on Flashpoint,
Yes.
you know,
Oh, really?
times when Flash kind of screwed up the universe in the past. He's going back and trying to fix those points and then back up. Pretty amazing.
The climax of the first issue, if you haven't read it, there's spoilers. The Watchmen are now part of the main DCU, and it seems as if the reason why things have been going weird is because of Dr. Manhattan. In the end of the Watchmen comic, he says that he wants to go and create life, go and create his own universe. And it seems like they're saying that at least the New 52, if not maybe more of the Marvel Universe or DC Universe, was his experiment. That he was experimenting with life, and when something didn't work, he shut it down and created something new, which would explain all the cataclysms that they've had.
I really hope that they actually put it to where that DC started because of him originally, and
Yeah, all
that
of
he
that.
failed, and oh no, look at that, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened.
Mhm.
And then he's like, well, I got to recreate this, and then the next thing happened. What was it?
Infinite Crisis. I think it was.
Infinite Crisis, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, ongoing in that he's now perfecting it, and he's like, well, now we're going to step into this world or whatever.
It's like he is the embodiment of DC's hubris.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
It's like, we're sorry, guys. You can blame this guy. right. And
Yeah.
DC fans are like, oh, look at that. And they don't see it for the cop out that it is. I don't know. I'm just making stuff.
That's why they brought back Green Goblin to with the Spider-Man clone saga. They brought him back as the main villain because they didn't know how to fix it. So they're like, well, let's bring back a character that's dead. Say it's all his fault.
I disagree. The year before the Clone Saga started, and I'm actually going to have to look this up and write down all the comics because I remember this. It showed Norman Osborn from behind. You could see his hair, though. And Norman's hair is always very, very
Distinct.
It's always
distinct.
drawn the
Yeah.
same way,
And he is at Gwen Stacy's grave. And it's at the very beginning of a comic, right before the Clone Saga, and he's looking at the grave and then turns around and walks away.
But he was dead when the Clone Saga was going. Or supposedly dead.
It wasn't a cop-out. I'm saying that it was a plan.
I don't think it was planned.
It was a plan.
That's something for another story. Yeah.
So now we're gonna kickbox, guys. That doesn't really show up that well.
So yeah, that happened.
Edit it.
So
Edit
I can edit now.
Put some Bruce Lee sound effects in there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You've been kickboxed.
One of the theories that is coming out of the New 52 or coming out of Rebirth is that the Joker. Apparently, there's 3 of them now. Either there has been 3 people in different time periods who've been the Joker, or there are currently 3 running around in the DCU right now. Isn't really clear. But one of the theories is that one of the Jokers is the comedian. Now, the comedian was killed in The Watchmen, but that dude was a sociopath. That dude just got off on being America's hitman, going in and just blowing up countries and stuff, and
beating
was just
women.
beating women, and
yeah.
he was insane.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why he died. Well,
and it was
the whole reason, but
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias killed him, yeah. Because he stumbled onto Pyramid Tech's involvement with all that.
Right.
Read or watch The Watchmen. It's phenomenal.
Read it.
Read it, then watch it.
Well, because the movie, I enjoyed the movie. I thought the movie was good. The ending was so changed between the movie and the comic. And
the ending to the movie was very confusing. I didn't get it until I remember being very confused seeing it in the theaters, having not read the graphic novel.
Right. I read the graphic novel just before I saw the movie.
So did I.
In preparation.
I'm ashamed to say I didn't read it sooner.
Yeah, same here. Okay, so in the story of the Watchmen, Ozymandias, he has a plan to unite the nations of the earth. The comedian stumbles on it, realizes that it's going to cost millions and millions of lives, tries to stop it, gets killed, which leads to an investigation by other heroes, Rorschach specifically.
He is my personal Jesus.
Which leads to them confronting Ozymandias in the Antarctic, I think it was.
Yep.
And he faked an alien invasion, which killed a bunch of people all over the world, but it united Earth in now we don't have to fight each other. Now we have something outside of us to focus our warlike tendencies on.
Well, it really was a beautiful thing because he created a gigantic telepathic squid that blew up upon teleportation. And we're all talking about the movie being confusing.
The movie, he was making Dr. Manhattan to be the villain.
He made a bomb out of Manhattan's energy so that it would blame Dr. Manhattan. I think the ending of the movie makes so much more sense than the ending of the comic. And the ending of the comic really does show that it was written in the 70s.
Yeah.
Because giant space alien squid that blows up while melting your brain is
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's something.
It's something.
So back to the theory about Joker being the comedian. I think it makes a lot of sense that he would be the new 52 Joker. That was a ping.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Our computer.
Yeah. Right.
Update. Ooh, they got another subscriber on Castle of Games.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So in case you're wondering, Castle of Games does have its own Facebook page. I think we put a link to it in our Facebook page, so go check it out.
And on our YouTube upload of the original channel. No, I didn't put it on there, did I?
And we'll put it into the
the description
of this video as well, just so you can check that out. Check out Castle of Games. Who, again, thank you very much for allowing us to do this. This wouldn't be possible without you guys and without this space. So we're, again, hats off.
So comedian as the Joker, what I found the comedian, I mean, they're going to have to show some drastic changes between who he was in The Watchmen and how he could become the Joker. Because he seems to be, like, he thrives within chaos, in The Watchmen, but he seems to approach the chaos with order and not with chaos.
Well, like a military precision. Like
military precision. Yeah, exactly.
Like mercenaries.
But then at the same time, Joker has many times been presented as somebody who has military training or some sort of weapons combat training.
Mm-hmm.
So not so keen on the idea of the comedian being the Joker. I feel like it's less of it makes sense with the character and more of it makes sense with the name.
Well,
and I don't like that.
Here's why I think it makes sense. So the New 52 Joker was called. There was basically an origin story that was created for him, that he was essentially immortal. He was connected to the Lazarus pits. There's apparently a Lazarus pit under Gotham.
It's like the Alpha Pit. It's the pit that was created by the meteor that made Vandal Savage immortal.
Right. So it's the first of the pits. So he's been showing up throughout history as the Laughing Man at the big events that happen in Gotham City. One of the theories is that the Watchmen have been watching how things develop. Like that everybody in not just Dr. Manhattan, everyone else is involved in this as well, and have been watching how things develop. We have an experiment like this. I mean, a good way to observe it is from the inside. So they send in the comedian. He's got this ability to resurrect himself with the Alpha Lazarus pit. Now he's there
throughout.
In
the Lazarus pits, it's been well documented that it leads to momentary psychosis, that the more and more you use it, the more and more of a grip it has on you. So,
I mean, yeah, that just adds to it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just fighting my own point, I guess. Tell you why you're wrong,
You dug your own hole.
Yeah, I'll lay in my own hole.
I'm of the strong belief they're never going to tell you the origin of the Joker. Never going to tell you who the Joker is. That's part of the allure of the character. The Joker, every time he shows up, tells a new story about his origin and who he was in the past.
I mean,
he always gives you a new story.
That could be his.
It could be true. It could not be true. It could all be true. None of it could be true. He's just going to keep you guessing until eternity.
That could be his big joke. Is like, am I or am I not?
And I would prefer that personally, but I counter that with a lot of people were upset when they talked about Wolverine's origin, and I think that went rather well.
You're not talking about the movie, right?
No, God, no.
Oh, the real stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
But just to clarify,
the real stuff,
not the movie.
We can talk about the movie if you want, but
nope.
Turning Silver Samurai into a giant robot suit.
That had no silver.
Okay, so...
It's like, no, it's just a dude.
So, Wolverine Origins now with more Gundams.
Oh man, that just made me so happy.
The whole reason
put it up that way.
It was
in the first place, it would have been happy.
The whole reason they did it
Wolverine
is because
versus Gundams.
We're Americans and we can't have a movie set in Japan without a giant robot. It's not possible. We don't want that. It doesn't have a giant robot or 100 kung fu ninjas. Like, we don't want it.
Kung fu ninjas.
Kung fu ninja.
I heard it too.
Yeah,
Maybe they're Korean kung fu ninjas.
Wow, just so much rage seething right now. I'm just surrounded by white boys that just,
But they all currently live.
Yeah, you know what those say, right?
Love, honor, crazy, insane.
Sure.
Actually, I've had them translated at an all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was showing Chris my tattoos.
Yeah.
Oops.
Pretty sure they say kung kai and chicken.
No. Okay, so this one was actually screwed up, and I had it fixed. But initially, it said the kung fu moves through your body. So yeah.
I really like how Kung Fu Ninja is segued into seething as the Asian representative at this table.
Who voted you the Asian representative?
I'm the only slant eye at the table.
I mean, it is by default. So.
That seems racist.
You said it.
How is it racist if I say it and I am the token Asian? What the hell?
That's awesome.
It's racist when you point it out. It's just truth when I do.
I didn't point it out. Oh wait, I pointed my kanji at
Yeah.
you.
Again, not Korean.
Right. Not
Wait,
Korean.
what's not Korean?
Freaking kanji on your arm.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So yeah.
And kanji is the Japanese. Well, I guess that's the Chinese. Yes. But we know what kanji is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
didn't it start out as a menu for restaurants?
So.
No, I'm being completely honest. That's what I read somewhere.
So.
No.
So void the phrase Kung Fu Ninjas. Got it. Put that on my notes.
In your little notey notes.
So yeah.
Where were we? What were we discussing? Joker?
We're talking about Joker. Well, so we've touched on racism. Let's talk about Hydra. Like that's a terrible segue. That's a terrible segue.
Segue.
Let's move on, shall we? Captain America: Steve Rogers #1. The huge reveal of that.
I actually haven't gotten around to reading my copy. I just picked it up the other day. It's sitting on my stack, and I'm like, I have to get to that. But I don't mind talking. Oh wait, big spoilers if anyone.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Click forward to the next.
But if you have Facebook or if you've been online at all, it's been all over the place.
And you can't buy the book in a comic book store to save your life. We don't have any. Nobody's got any.
Really? Is it?
Yeah,
We're like selling
I've
it for $20 online.
Wow.
People have been threatening to burn multiple copies of this book.
I actually have seen a video of people burning that issue, and I can't understand why you'd want to burn a comic book just because.
You want to increase the rarity of the comic book so that the way the 3 or 4 issues that you keep in really good condition are worth more.
So I'm going to be buying 4 issues of everything.
So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the 3 people who haven't seen it on Facebook, Captain America: Steve Rogers #1 was released recently. Captain America, the stalwart champion of the red, white, and blue, as American as apple pie and your mother.
USA human popsicle.
Right. First issue shows him punching Hitler in the face. It doesn't get much more.
Classic.
And interesting, fun fact for that, Marvel had to have when that issue was released, they had to have police protection for a couple of weeks at their headquarters.
Oh yeah, they were getting threats.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Because Nazism was huge in America at the time. Anyway, that's not the point.
There was a Nazi party in America.
Huge Nazi influence all over the United States, which plays into.
It plays into Donald Trump.
Well,
being.
No. I mean, yes, but
Red Skull.
Plays into the Captain America issue. There's flashbacks all through it to Steve Rogers as a child. His mom was being assaulted. She got rescued by a member of a Hydra group, and they started attending Hydra meetings. And it seems as if Captain America had been indoctrinated as an agent of Hydra since childhood. And the very last panel shows him saying the classic words, "Hail Hydra."
My thoughts on it is everything I see about it, everybody's freaking out, but he's picked up Thor's hammer, but he did this, but he's led S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's done that. But guess what? Secret Wars happened. New history, new everything. And the thing about Secret Wars, more spoiler alerts if you haven't read it, it was a great series. At the end of it, everything has been destroyed. The entire Marvel multiverse, everything gone. And Franklin Richards and Reed Richards Reed Richards had acquired some power to basically recreate creation. He absorbed the power of the Beyonders, and in doing so, he started rebuilding the multiverse. Subtle changes, subtle differences. Oops, Steve Rogers' mom was rescued by a Hydra guy and not a U.S. Army officer, and now we have Captain Hydra. I really hope that they don't end up having to write themselves into a corner and go, oh, time travel, we fixed it. The age-old fix-all that when writers write themselves into corners, I completely understand it.
One of the other popular beliefs and the way, I guess, diehard Captain America fans are trying to reconcile is that he's some sort of like double or triple agent. That he coming out of this going, psych, take that Hydra, I win.
I could see that, but at the same time, he has had multiple opportunities to kill Zemo, to kill Arnim Zola, to kill Red Skull, and he didn't. He stopped, put shackles on him, and threw him in a jail cell. Again, that's before Secret Wars. But he just threw, what is his name, Jack Flag?
Jack Flag, yeah.
He just threw Jack Flag out of an airplane in this one?
Yeah. So before he said the infamous words, they were flying on a plane. There was a scientist who was tied up.
Dr. Eric Selvig from the Thor movies.
Right.
His comic book counterpart.
And Jack Flag was there. He was a British hero, I think.
I'm not sure on Jack Flag.
I think he's a British hero. Anyway, Captain America pushes him out of the airplane, and then shouts Hail Hydra.
Now, Eric Selvig is very much alive at the end, and he heard Captain America say Hail Hydra. He looked very distraught in the face. So if he somehow survives through this, then he's a loose end that is going to let the rest of the Marvel universe know, hey, Cap is over here hailing Hydra, by the way. Maybe we should take his shield away and put him in the corner. But at the same time, I am kind of hoping that it sticks, that it stays around for a bit. So
my theory involving all of this really hinges on how connected things
pre-Secret
Wars are to the post-Secret Wars.
It's so hard to tell that because there's an 8-month time jump.
Right.
So there's so much that's missing that we still don't know how connected it is to it.
Right. If it's still connected to
pre-Secret Wars.
The pre-Secret Wars universe, my theory is it all has to do with Civil War. When Captain America was shot at the end of Civil War, he was shot with like a time travel bullet that sent his brain back in time.
Special order from Smith & Wesson.
Yeah. Which is the most convoluted and stupid resurrection that I've ever read in comics.
Funny thing is the same thing was happening to Batman at the same time in DC.
Yeah, but that was different. He wasn't hit by a time travel bullet. He was hit by by Apocalypse's Omega Beam, which sent him back in
now
time.
Featuring more time travel bullet.
but that was a trap because when he was jumping through time, he was collecting chronal energy, and when he got back to today, he was going to blow up all of reality.
Right.
So not the same thing.
Love comic book. That comic book science.
Science. Yeah.
Comic book science.
So in the original Star Trek, they actually had these tubes that went around, and they always had random stuff on there, and one of them was DNGN, and it stood for Does Nothing Goes Nowhere.
That's
just beautiful.
DNGN tube.
Yeah. Does Nothing goes nowhere. Anywho.
My theory as to what's going on here is that those are implanted memories that have to do with that whole, because he was time traveled, he was going through his life to get back to modern day. I feel like it would make sense to me if those are implanted memories, and maybe he's only been an agent of Hydra since he was resurrected after Civil War.
Kind of like Manchurian Candidate, like rewrite.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a sleeper agent, and it's now just starting to come to the surface.
Right.
I actually like that theory, and
I don't know how it's going to pan out because usually my theories are 180 degrees different from what happens in the comics.
Maybe.
But that's just what I.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. We'll know when people start cutting their subscriptions to Captain
I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see an increase. Yeah. I'm interested in Captain America for the first time in, well, it's Steve Rogers' Captain America for the first time in forever. Captain America title was officially handed off to Sam Wilson.
I like Sam Wilson Cap.
Which is a great idea. The whole Marvel finally deciding to make all of their characters not white men.
Yeah.
So.
Or voluptuous babes.
I mean, sure.
That are white.
They're still, well, yeah.
Yeah, like changing Thor to Jane. Thor.
Yeah. Jane Foster Thor.
I love that.
We should just call her Jane Thorster now.
Thorster?
Yeah, Jane Thorster instead of Jane Foster. Jane
yeah,
Thorster.
Or let's not do that.
Or just Jane Foster. All right.
Yeah, or just Thor, because that's
Thor.
Thor's the title,
Thor's the
not
title.
necessarily the person.
Right.
There was a lot of
Thor.
It's the being wielding Mjolnir.
The original Thor is Odin's son. In case anybody didn't know, he's actually just named Odin.
A lot of people like flipped out over that. Said that she's not the real Thor. She should be named like Thorina or Thoretta.
Because we need to label them because of their genitalia.
Feminize the name. It's like doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She wields Mjolnir and she's a badass in the comics.
You're the only.
And actually, she bonds with Mjolnir better, from what I understood.
Yeah.
That she actually has a closer bond with it than Odin's son ever did.
She less of that rage and more of that sense of like justice.
That and she, the dying of cancer, and she's trying to make everything so good before she goes that it might be.
I want to see how they resolve that because that's interesting.
Well, every time that she goes back to being Jane Foster, all the healing that was done as Thor is gone.
Yeah.
And her chemo disappears from her body every time she becomes Thor. So literally every time she becomes Thor, she's damning herself closer and closer to the edge of cancer death.
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they resolve that because I feel like this is going to be a character that's going to be for the long run, and how they're going to resolve that cancerous death is, I'm excited to find out.
Probably just some like space Viking cure that they rediscovered.
Space Viking.
Yeah. Techno Viking cure.
Techno Viking. That is awesome.
They really can't introduce a cancer cure in the comics, or else the whole death of Captain Marvel back in the mid '80s. But that's going to be.
Yeah, we'll screw Deadpool up.
And screw Deadpool up because his healing factor is connected to his cancer.
Yeah, but just to be honest, there's more than one type of cancer. I mean, you cure one, you're not going to cure them all. I mean, that is a little bit of, we were talking about comic book technology. That is a little bit in the realm of comic book technology. Like, I have radiation poisoning. Well, then take this med for this radiation poisoning,
No, that actually is a good point.
I could see them curing it entirely. And at the same time, all she's got to do is jump over and give Eddie Brock a hug. Thanks, Anti-Venom. You just cured me.
Good point.
But all these, they're not going to use any of those. That's all easy fixes.
Right. Since we're on the topic of the changes that Marvel's made to characters like, Sam Wilson, previously the Falcon, now Captain America. Mm-hmm. So it's not a white male Captain America. Thor being Jane Foster, so not a female Thor. There's now a young Islamic Captain Marvel. Ms. Marvel, right?
Because Ms. Marvel becomes Captain
Marvel, which I thought was also a great change there. Except for I don't like her haircut, but that's whatever.
It's almost a throwback to Storm.
It is a little shallow, yes.
Throwback to 80s Storm. Doesn't frame her face right, and so it makes her cheekbones seem very, very.
Since we're on the topic, has there been a change that you guys don't like? Has there been a change that you're like, wow, that was really a bad idea and they shouldn't?
Tell us the character that you love and some of the changes that you've disagreed with. Kim can wax on about this subject.
Awesome.
Which I don't know. That's almost an episode unto itself.
We were talking about made Harley Quinn the leader of the Suicide Squad. We're not talking about the movie Harley Quinn, which is honestly closer to the new Harley Quinn in the current Suicide Squad comics, which left a bad taste in pretty much everybody's mouth. there was a huge campaign when they first showed her in previews in this like skimpy little corset with like a mini cape and hot pants shorts on, and everybody was like, WTF, what the hell? Yeah.
Is that Hook or Harlequin?
Yeah, basically. That's exactly right. I mean, but it's more than just the look. See, in like Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti really did it well with their Harley Quinn solo series. Harley's not going to wear the same outfit every goddamn day.
Did you say Paul Giamatti?
Jimmy Palmiotti.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought you said Paul Giamatti. I was like, really?
The shit out of that. So, she's not going to wear the same outfit every day. She's going to change on a whim. She's going to just wear whatever the hell she wants. And so, fine, costume aside, if you look at maybe the first 15 issues of Suicide Squad, that's going back to 2013. That started December 2012, 2013 series, Suicide Squad, just acts so goddamn slutty. And it's like the way they frame her and the way they she's just like, I'll solve this with feminine wiles, basically, is the solution to everything. It's just like, what?
When Harley would just rather pull out a giant hammer and smash it in the face and laugh about it.
Exactly. And maybe like
make pie full of razor blades.
Exactly. It's just like the personality changed so much, and that was what really set everybody off. It's a personality change.
But then they reset it with Amanda.
Well, that's the thing. Is her solo series is classic, whimsical, off the wall. I'm gonna do what I want. Do my best Harley Quinn that everybody knows and loves.
So
Suicide Squad Harley Quinn. What?
So even the current line is still problematic.
It's a little better because they've rebooted Suicide Squad twice now since it started. So there was all new Suicide Squad, and now there's Rebirth Suicide Squad. So
you remember the controversy that went off because of Harley Quinn? They did a contest.
Oh god. You're talking about issue number 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What contest?
So they were doing a contest where they were having people send in original artwork of Harley Quinn that they made themselves because it was a talent hunt. It's essentially what it was.
Talent hunt.
Which is a great idea.
Yeah.
But one of the things they wanted was you to basically show Harley Quinn naked in various poses on dress.
No. So the panels were this. She had to be trying to get struck by lightning. That was one of the requirements. Then she had to be trying to get eaten by an alligator, because it's like this little suicidal thing going on.
Right.
And then the last panel on the thing was that she was trying to kill herself in a bathtub with electrical instruments and stuff like that, electrocute herself.
Right. They wanted people to draw her committing suicide, essentially.
Right. That's exactly it. Or her failed attempt.
And it may have been connected to Suicide Squad, as a joke thing, but
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It's just how they wanted to kick off the solo series. And this is Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner.
Right.
Harley Quinn's solo series here. Everybody just assumed that meant, they're looking for fully nude Harley Quinn. The best submissions they ever got barely showed anything. At all, ever. It's like they showed from angles of she's obviously in the bathtub, and you assume she's nude, but we can't tell.
Sure. I've always loved the character of Harley Quinn since she showed up in Batman the Animated
Thank
Series.
you, Paul Dini.
Yeah,
Dini, however you say his name.
Paul Dini.
Yeah,
Dini.
Definitely thank you, Paul Dini.
Bruce Timm, but Paul Dini was the creator.
So, yeah, but
he's having Batman the Animated Series flashbacks.
I'm watching episodes in my brain now. I'm like, yay! You're right. There was no reason to overly sexualize the character. I mean, you can have a male or female character that expresses their sexuality in however way they want, but when you're making it the essential part of the character, that's a huge mistake.
Yeah. I mean, unless your character's Vampirella from the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the character, that's the character. But you don't drastically change the character.
Yeah, you don't change it to that.
Whimsical and fun to over crazy sex pot.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any characters you hate, their change that has happened?
We're talking serious fundamental changes,
And no one really cares about the Superman costume change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't care.
He's not wearing underwear outside of his pants anymore? What?
I
Boycott.
I don't know. I haven't. just coming back into comic books recently, I don't know. Like, I'm having to backtrack like 15 years worth of stuff. My knowledge is only like 2 years. So for me, I read something and I don't remember how it was, or back when I was reading the first time, I didn't get any of this stuff. So I don't know. Nothing has jumped out at me as like, wow, this is really disappointing or upsetting.
Well, I'm still trying to think of mine, because I know mine is, the first one I thought of is also Dave's, so I'm just going to let him go with it.
Well, it's not that okay, so titles have been changed back and forth. Captain America, Thor title, Miss Marvel title has been changed.
Spider-Man even.
Yeah, even Spider-Man. I don't feel like the Hulk is a title.
Totally Awesome Hulk is not okay.
Oh, you don't like the title of it?
No. I don't like the fact that Bruce Banner is no longer the Hulk. That all Hulk was taken out of him and given to Amadeus Cho. Yeah. And it's Totally Awesome Hulk.
It's not that I haven't read any of the new comics.
I think he's cool, but
I haven't really, delved into the comic itself. So this is like initial reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the Hulk wasn't a title. If they had changed his name instead of being Hulk into something else, then I would be whatever.
But what could it be if like all you do is there's no other term, you Hulk out, like you get big and green and you're.
Yeah.
Well, that's all. I see what they're saying. It's like it's not really a mantle that's passed, and I'm not sure why they would write it that way. Since there's She-Hulk, there's Red Hulk. So there's many different Hulks. There's many different Hulks, right?
Yeah,
what do you call him? Asian Hulk? Then he turns yellow. I mean,
that's exactly what we're gonna do. He's gonna be the yellow Hulk.
It's like you said. It's Marvel taking up the whole thing of like we're de-white boying our heroes.
And I get
and
that.
Like here's Asian, here's Korean smart guy Hulk.
But you don't completely get rid of the original Hulk.
Oh, right.
And that's, I guess, the issue.
I want to know what Bruce Banner is doing.
If Bruce Banner was still the Hulk and Amadeus Cho was
also a Hulk,
awesome Hulk, okay, fine.
Totally Awesome Hulk, and then that way, like Bruce can be like, "Come here, son, I'll teach you how to Hulk out."
Exactly. Okay, so then.
And then Amadeus Cho's like, "I'll teach you how to solve quadratic equations."
In the DC universe, we have Flash. We've got several different Flashes.
Right.
We have several different Hulks.
There are already several different Hulks.
We did not need to get rid of Bruce.
Make a new Hulk. Why did they get rid of Bruce?
Well, it was so he was absorbing all this radiation from some underwater thing. I don't know exactly, remember it all. But basically, he was going to blow up, take the planet with him, unless Amadeus Cho, in like 3 seconds, made some sort of device that sucked Hulk out of Bruce Banner and put it into him. And that's the Totally Awesome Hulk origin. Very, very abridged.
Very abridged. So if you want to know the actual origin, grab the comic and read it. It's out there.
Amadeus Cho was great to start with.
No,
I really liked him. The fact that there was nothing about him except for the fact that he was smart. He wasn't a mutant. He was so smart that he could actually see things, see reality as basically math, and be able to extrapolate information and like see stuff.
Because he's Korean. So
way to go, Marvel.
He sees the world in math. He's Korean. Oh my God.
He's actually said the phrase "see the math of things" several times too.
He was considered the fourth smartest person.
On the scale of it was the Stark
something continuum.
Stark Von Doom scale. Yeah. They actually have a name that they use for characters. That's like a Richter scale of smartness.
Nice. Yeah. But he was a great character as it was. I mean, why couldn't we have a character that was a superhero because he was just smarter than everyone else and just outsmarted the bad guys instead of having to be powered?
Because Batman already exists.
I mean, that's fair.
And Tony Stark.
But explain it stranger than fiction. It's being good at math is not a power. It's a skill.
That's true.
Sure, but why can't we use skills?
Well, that's why you have Batman.
I can't think of any major changes other than Bruce Banner is no longer Hulk.
Another good one.
that really just craps in my cornflakes.
Another good one, since you mentioned Superman, I actually thought about this. Superman Red and Superman Blue.
Oh, I thought you meant current changes.
Just changes in general. Maybe
Okay,
anything
well,
that's
I was trying to go through current stuff.
Now it's
no. So 1 hour 6 minutes in, we're now going for 4 hours on this.
So yeah, Superman Red, Superman Blue.
That happened.
Like it was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was like right in the height of the Coke versus Pepsi. Like,
oh my God, you're so right.
Superman changed from having his traditional power set to having these electrical-based powers, and then he actually split into two characters. That was a red electric Superman and blue electric Superman.
I'm so glad I was not reading comic books at this time.
It was so ridiculous. And it all had to do with his odd Kryptonian physiology after dying and coming back.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So this is like post-death of
Superman.
Yeah, directly after death, he came back, and then he was like, couldn't stop absorbing solar radiation for a time, and he had to have Parasite like suck him dry just about.
Right.
And then the Parasite was like this giant purple Hulk with a weird leech mouth, which I don't understand the leech mouth, but hey, cool. And so I'm not even kidding.
I'm so confused. The fact that you're telling truth is just making my head hurt.
And then he depowered Superman.
Someone sketched this exactly as described.
Yeah. Purple Hulk with a leech mouth.
You'll probably not be too far from the point.
and then he.
I used to have the comic.
I do have the comic. I have the comic now. I inherited it from you when I stole it. So. Yeah, same thing.
It's the same.
Appropriated.
Our comic book collections are fluid.
Yeah. After he depowered Superman, because Superman was like, looking through everything with his X-ray vision. He was like seeing through the entire planet and galaxy, and he couldn't even open his eyes or he'd burn down half of Metropolis. And so he was depowered, and he was left slightly more powerful than before he died. Of course.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He could rep a little bit more now. And so then shortly after, they're like, well, we haven't messed with him enough. Let's change it all again. It was just ridiculous. And why did not Superman Purple Electric happen? Why didn't they
they fuse together and
fuse their color source?
Superman do the fusion dance.
I did the fusion dance, people, like 2 steps of it.
It's like Superman twin powers activated.
Superman twin powers activate? Is that what you said? That sounds like a bad night at the Kent house.
But yeah, so that was awful.
I believe the word you're looking for is docking.
Docking.
Oh,
you know what, freaky.
So yeah, we're gonna put a content warning.
Does this one? Does it work like?
We're pantomiming and no one can see that. So
yeah, but
they're just hearing us giggle. What are they doing?
So
they said a word.
Yeah, that happened. So yeah, back to Captain America. Hydra. Here's one thing that
what? We're going
conversations
back?
meander.
Yes, we're going back because there is one thing that we want to talk about that has to do with it, and that's comic books and social commentary.
Oh, okay, yeah. This was
always been social commentary.
So Captain America has, and I'm going to put a link on this description. I found an essay for a person who was getting a doctorate in arts, and he wrote a thesis on how Captain America in particularly is a social commentary for the time and the American people. And there are a lot of people who are having uproar with Captain America being Hydra, and I can see that, being the fact that he did become such an icon during World War II, a movement for peace, and then now he's Hydra. I get it. But yet again, it's a comic book, it's entertainment. You don't like it, don't buy it. That's fine. But if you want something interesting and compelling that's, might be a little bit insightful about the world around you, then hey, pick it up. So apparently,
if you can find one.
Yeah, if you can find one.
Yeah.
So Red Skull, he in the comic as well, is starting a new movement of Hydra, basically. And in his speeches, some people have pointed out that he is very much like a certain candidate that a lot of America is turning to currently.
The one with the funky hair.
Yeah.
Hillary.
And so Hillary.
Let's be honest. They all have funky hair.
They all have
really
funky
take
hair.
an objective look.
That's a really
If you're
good point.
if you're voting by hair, then you should vote for Wayne, because I have the sexiest bald spots. But so with America as a people turning towards this person, and we've tried not to make this a political thing.
Oh no, it's gonna get political this time.
It's gonna get political this time. Okay.
So spoiler alert, this is gonna get political. Just saying, because talking about comic books as social commentary, it's gonna get a little political.
You have to touch on it.
Yeah. So kind of appears that the same hate speech that we hear from Donald Trump is coming out as very much a Red Skull thing. Red Skull is almost, I mean, his speeches just look like they're written by Donald Trump or something when he's reading them. And then Captain America is now aligning himself, Captain America being the American people, the social commentary of it all. He is now Hydra, which is obviously Red Skull. He's often one of the heads of Hydra.
That just likens Captain America to like all the.
But it's a commentary on why would people like this guy? Why does it make
Captain
sense?
America's always been a representation of
the American
people.
Yeah.
This goes all the way back to, again, we mentioned Civil War, but not the movie, but the actual comic.
But the actual war.
The actual war in
18 when history sucks.
You're gonna brush up on my history. No, it's true.
You're right. 1876. 1876.
Wasn't exactly sure.
I don't know.
What? No.
I'm just guessing 100 years after.
This is before the centennial. Oh my.
64. Anyway,
I just added 100 years.
Not the point. So in the comic, we had this took place during the Bush administration, when everybody was in an uproar about the Patriot Act and the loss of civil liberties, how people were actually trading in our civil liberties for what we were seeing as security.
So Mutant Registration Act, all that stuff falls right in line. They were discussing it in comic book terms, what was going on.
Yeah.
Captain America opposed it as the American people were opposing the Patriot Act.
Right. But he ended up getting
shot.
He ended up losing the fight and getting shot at the end of it, because that's basically how it happened with the Patriot Act and all of that. Those of us who opposed it, it still happened, so it wasn't actually anything that could be done about it.
They were made martyrs. You had like Snowden and stuff. So you had all these people that were like whistleblowing, like, hey, this is the problem with the government, and I mean, he's now out of the country.
Yeah.
So
bye.
Well, you brought up Mutant Registration Act, another thing. Like, comic books have been a source of social commentary since at least the 60s. We had the X-Men, who were a analog to the civil rights movement. Silver Surfer was embraced by the hippie culture because he was an outsider who was trying to live a peaceful existence, but was being brought constantly into conflict.
Being the herald of blackness.
No, I'm talking about after.
Oh, okay.
After he was herald, after he was stuck on Earth.
Yeah.
That whole era. Yeah. The hippie culture glommed onto that because it was Silver Surfer became like an icon, if you will, of the whole hippie culture. Trying to think of other good examples of.
I didn't know that. That makes sense though. Surfing in space.
Yes, because hippies are always surfing in space. But anyway, there's several examples of it. So North Star, the first openly gay marriage in comics. There's always been these examples, and Marvel has been a leader of this social commentary in the comics.
The whole 9/11 Twin Towers thing. They win.
Right.
The heroes win to dig through the rubble.
Yeah, and villains.
And the villains too.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Even Doom was there.
Yeah.
It was the whole uniting of the nation mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's always been. The comic books have always been very right there on the cutting edge of whatever is going on
Mhm.
socially, politically in our country, in the world. Always.
So here's a quick question. Do you think that's like necessarily what the role of comics should be? Should they be social commentary, or should they just be entertainment?
I think they're both. But the thing is if
Well,
you
they are
take
both,
if you
but-
take that position that those writers have away from them, you're creating a form of censorship. And they've they've done that.
Yeah.
They've tried to do that so many times. I mean, if you look at the history of EC comics.
I did a thesis paper on the seduction of the innocent. So,
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think I think you can't do that, and I think comic books have always that's why they were formed.
Yeah,
the idea
you
of
had the
comic.
whole comic book code authority and what you couldn't show when they had the whole dare, like, don't do drugs thing. That issue with Spider-Man, and they're like, oh, you showed somebody in like an alley, like shooting up heroin. That glorifies drug use. And it's like, they were showing him to be like this completely like dirty, filthy person that you would never ever want to be like.
Yeah, they don't glamorize
glorify it.
It's like you do realize that movies and some TV shows do a much worse job at glorifying it than the comic books ever did.
So for those of you who don't know, a little bit of backstory on what we're discussing right now. Back in the 50s-ish, 50s, early eras of comics, there was a child psychologist who, can't remember his name, but he wrote a book called The Seduction of the Innocent, basically saying that all of the young people's social ills were caused by comic books. Reading comic books would make you become a mobster or make you kill people, or it's the same argument that they use with video games today.
Television,
it's ridiculous.
Music,
music. Remember,
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Like I know we've all been gamers for a long time, and I know we've all killed at least 3 people because exactly what happens. Sarcasm, if you didn't know.
Disclaimer: those are not gravestones in my backyard. For those of you who have Google Earth.
Anyway. That was
awkward silence.
That was
pause.
a joke. That was a joke. Good job, Larry. The Seduction of the Innocent led to congressional hearings, which led to the Comic Book Code Authority, which one of the tenets of the Comic Book Code Authority was you couldn't show drug use, period.
Yeah.
So in, I don't remember what year, Stanley was approached by some anti-drug corporation's DARE program, said, hey, can you do a comic that shows drugs being bad? And he was like, yeah, totally. So we wrote this comic that Spider-Man, there was a kid and there was somebody overdosed, and Comic Code said, no, you can't show that. So they sold it anyway. They just took the code off the comic for that issue and then sold it anyway, and it sold like normal, and now most comics don't even use the.
It's completely gone. The Comic Code Authority is no longer a thing.
Well, Marvel stopped using it early 2000s. They switched to their own rating system.
Right.
Yeah.
When they brought out Marvel Max.
I think it was Marvel Knights, wasn't it?
Maybe it was Marvel Knights. Anyway, around that time they brought out their own rating system, and then the Comic Code Authority pretty much folded at that time.
Yeah, and then in
which is good, but
the late 80s, early 90s, when the whole PMRC was going on about music, and they started putting parental discretion to buy stickers on albums, they started doing that on comic books for content as well. They use that very same label.
Yeah, and mature teen.
Yeah, so that's the way I know DC does it, where they put like, G, T for teen, T plus. They've got it tied in more like the video games.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, there should be some sort of rating system in place because I don't want. Yeah, exactly. I don't want like my 3-year-old reading comics with nudity and
3-year-olds can't read.
Funny story. My 4-year-old tried to read your Preacher at my house.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, hold on, Connor. Whoa.
So that's a thing that happened. Yeah, that one, not for the kids.
No, I stopped him.
Not for the kids. Essentially, we're agreeing. Comics as social commentary.
Yes, always.
Should definitely be a thing. There really wasn't a debate on that. I just wanted
to
have something to talk about for the last few minutes because feels like we're wrapping up here. Wayne, we have any final thoughts?
Well, final thought today would have to be Captain America and Hydra. Still a better love story than Twilight.
And with that, good night.